how you wanna play it.
Gee, sorry. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel, and finally I can give you some news about Project A. Most of you probably have seen that today, or whatever day, at the day I'm recording it, they just released the name of it. Project A is gonna be named Valorant. If you don't know what Valorant is, it's a FPS, it's a tactical shooter made by Riot Games. If you haven't seen the video that I made before some weeks ago, I would recommend you to check that out. I'm going to try to link it here somewhere for you, so you can watch that before you watch this video. I got invited again by Riot in the next weeks to go to a Riot event, and I will be able to play the game again, and I'm super excited, and I'm going to share everything that I'm allowed to share with you from that event 100%. Maybe if they allow me, I might even try to vlog there. Don't know if I'm gonna be allowed to. I'm gonna keep you updated if that's gonna be allowed to. So let's dive into everything that you should know about Valorant. And today I can share all the juicy details with you that I was sadly not able to share with you in the past. So let's go right into it. If you don't know, the game is a 5-on-5 tactical shooter, which will be played in a best of 25 manner, if I'm not 100% mistaken. Also in the beginning of every round there is a preparation time. So when we will be going through the champions, you're gonna see that there are certain abilities, for example walls or other champions that have like traps and stuff like that can be set up beforehand in this preparation time. Also in the preparation time, the teams are only limited to a certain area of the map, so they cannot meet each other, they cannot see what they're doing. I'm not exactly sure how long this time is gonna be since I only played it in the alpha, but that is basically the buying and preparation time at the beginning of every single round. I also did a little Ask Me Anything on Twitter today in the morning. If you still have any questions after this video, please feel free to tweet at me, answer to that tweet, leave some questions in the comments. I'm gonna be super happy to answer every single question that I can answer for you. So to answer some questions straight ahead that I saw already flying around on the wild interwebs, there will be wall banks, so you can penetrate walls with different guns. Some guns will do more damage than others. There is recoil in the game, so you cannot run and gun, you cannot just hold mouse 1 and pray that everything is gonna work. So this is a really high skilled shooter, I would say, pretty much comparable weapon wise to CSGO. So it's not like Overwatch where you can just run and gun and do whatever you want. Another question that I saw on Twitter, there was a guy that asked me if you can customize your crosshair. Yes, you can customize your crosshair. Also, a question that I saw multiple times was, can every character use every weapon, or are you limited in any ways? No, you are not limited. The only thing that limits you when you choose your character is which abilities you have, which we're gonna go through in a little bit. But every character can use every single gun, so you can be a healer but also be opping. You can be a tank, but you can be also an opper. So you can use those different things. Also, because I just used words like healers and tank, it is not like in other games, like in Overwatch, at least to my knowledge, that there's gonna be roles, so that characters have certain roles. They're just characters with different abilities, and just from how they feel, like that's how I define them, as a healer or a tank. Okay, so yeah, every character can use every single gun. Many people also ask, oh yeah, it's just gonna be like Overwatch where you can spam your abilities over and over again. No, this is not the case. Basically, every single character, maybe I'm gonna be able to find a little screenshot from the game. At the bottom of your display, you're gonna be seeing that every character has 4 different abilities. One of those abilities is kind of like a passive that recharges itself. I cannot 100% remember if it was like after rounds, if it's after a kill. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but every character has 1 passive and 2 abilities that they can buy in the buy menu, which is most of the time 1 to 2 recharges. Again, we're gonna go through every single character, so you're gonna know which ones those are gonna be. Also, we have a little buy menu that we're gonna pull up on the screen, and we're gonna show you on the bottom where the abilities are that you can actually buy. Also, the abilities will be limited per round. So for example, there's some that are kind of similar to flashes. So you, for example, can only use 2 flashes per round or 1 Molotov, and so on and so on. Okay, so it's nothing like crazy ability spamming, so don't be afraid of that. Beside of that, also, so 1 passive, 2 abilities that you can buy in the buy menu, and every character will have an ultimate. An ultimate is a strong ability that every character has, which needs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 6 charges. I might be wrong on this one, but I think it's 6 charges. And if I remember correctly, you get those charges for every single kill. So if you kill 1 person, you get 1 charge for your ultimate, and you can use the ultimate once you reach the 6 charges. Also, I'm not 100% sure, but if I remember correctly, after every round ends, you get 1 charge. So for example, if you don't get your kills in 1 half, you can probably use your ult, depending on how many kills you have, I think between 1 and 2 times, right? So minimum 2 times per half that you're gonna be able to use your ultimate. So if you're killing more people, you're gonna be able to ult more often, if that makes sense. Then we come to the maps. We were able to play 2 different maps. The first map that we played, I hope I pronounced that one correct, is called Haven, which is the one you probably saw the most. I think all the gameplay trailers that are out are only from Haven, which is this Asian style map. I don't know how to describe it differently. Basically, what is special at that map is that there are 3 bomb sites, which forces you into finding different setups, how to hold them. You're gonna figure out after some time which sites are harder to hold, which sites are easier to hold. It was really, really interesting for us to play that map, and I personally loved it. First, in the beginning, I was like, oh my god, 3 bomb sites, 5 people to hold it, how is that gonna work? But it actually worked, and it was a lot of fun, so I'm excited what you guys are gonna think once you be able to play that. The second map is called Bind. This one we didn't play as much, but it's basically a map without really a middle, but on each opposite sides of the map, there's each 1 teleporter that brings you to the opposite side of the map. The special thing about it is that you can't hop back and forth, so every teleporter just works one way. So if you use it, you need to run around and use it again, if that makes sense. So it's nothing overpowered, and you kind of have to really get into it because there are really a lot of fast rotations on that map. It was super, super interesting. I didn't play that map as much, so I cannot really say how much I liked that one. But I thought the idea was really, really interesting. Okay. I think those were the basics of everything that I wanted to tell you about the game. Again, if you still have questions, leave them down in the info. Tweet at me, reach out to me, comment my chat on Twitch, wherever you want, and I'm gonna be trying to answer all the questions as good as I can. A question that came up very often is, when is the game gonna be released? Sadly, I cannot really give you any more information that is out there on Twitter as of today. Today is the 2nd of March. On the 2nd of March, Riot, Project A, Valorant announced that the game is gonna be released in summer 2020, so we don't even have to wait too long. Yes! Anyway, I cannot give you any more information about betas. They're gonna be open to play because I don't know more than you do, okay? Now, let's go on to the characters. Riot was so kind to release 8 characters so far. We don't really know how many characters gonna be there, if they're gonna add more, if it's gonna stay with 8. They didn't really say anything about that yet. So let's go through those 8 characters that we know that are gonna be released this year. Let's talk about the characters. I haven't played all characters in the time I was testing the game. So I will not be able to give you every single detail about every single character. I have a list with all the abilities, which I can also put in the info box for you if you want. But I'm gonna go through them really quick. I don't want to make a video that is like 30 minutes long and explain you every single ability, because you're not gonna be able to even find the footage of every single ability from every single character yet. So let's just go straight through it. Also, for all the people that know me, I'm not one of those channels that is like super technical, that is gonna tell you every single specific thing, how much damage, how much seconds you're gonna be blind, all of that stuff. I'm gonna just tell you in my own words how I experienced, how I felt, how those abilities work, and what I would compare them to in, for example, other games. The first character that we're gonna talk about, which I think is gonna be one that's gonna be played a lot, is Phoenix. Phoenix is a really aggressive character. You might have seen that. It's the guy that plays with the fire. The guy has, again, 4 abilities on every single character. The first one is Hot Hands. Hot Hands is basically a Molotov. It's an area that's gonna burn, which does damage to your enemies, but also to your allies, so be careful with that. And if you're standing in it as Phoenix, it also heals you, because fire obviously heals you. The second ability is Blaze Fire, which is basically a wall of fire that you can bend in whatever way you want. The third ability is Curveball, which is basically a close range flash that you can throw around a corner. His ultimate, Run It Back, is basically a second life. So he's like again, his name is Phoenix, so he's gonna rise back from the ashes. You select probably a safe spot where you start his ultimate, and then you can just run into a site and try to open it up, and in case you die, you respawn at the exact location you started. Run It Back. It's also comparable, I think, to the newest Apex character. I forgot the name. Maybe my editor can put it in here.
My name is Jeff.
I think he has a pretty similar ability like this. Let's go to the next character. The second one is Jet, also one of the 3 characters that I think they're gonna be played a lot. Jet is a really fast and really movement strong character. I think you can compare her, for example, in League of Legends to something like an Akali, maybe movement wise and quick, something to like a Genji, if you will. I think this character is going to be played by a lot of people that are very skilled, so definitely not a champion for me. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm really interested what really skilled players are gonna do with that one. Jet basically is all about movement. It has the ability called Tailwind, which is a quick dash. It is also one of the abilities that she can buy in the store. The second one is Jump Draft, which is basically just a high jump that makes you jump higher than any other characters out there. You also might have seen that ability in one of the first trailers, where you also see her ultimate, which is the Blade Storm, which is her throwing knives, and if the knife hits a head, it's an instant headshot kill, and in case you kill somebody, all of your knives fill up again, so you can send either one knife alone, or you can just send all at once. And I think in that first trailer video you might have seen Jet actually dashing, jumping over a box, and then throwing one of her knives straight at the enemies. And the fourth ability that I didn't talk about yet is Cloudburst, which is basically just a smoke. And that was it about Jet. The third character that we're gonna talk about is one of the characters that I personally played the most and I enjoy a lot. Her name is Viper. Viper is basically a girl that plays a lot with poison. You also have a little fuel bar in the middle that recharges whenever you basically don't use any of your abilities. After time, your fuel is gonna recharge. How fast it exactly recharges, I do not really remember. But let's go into her abilities. Her first ability, and I think that's the passive for her, is Snakebite, which is basically a poison area. So kind of imagine a Molotov but made out of poison. So your enemies get damaged in that one. Then there is Poison Cloud, which is basically a smoke that damages your enemies. So it's a poisonous smoke. And the third ability is Toxic Screen, which you probably already saw on one of the trailers as well. It is basically, you can bend it like the firewall of the Phoenix. The thing that is different with the Toxic Screen of Viper, that is, for example, one of the abilities that I was talking about in this preparation times. You might want to set that one up straight at a really tactical point. Your enemies can walk through it, but they're gonna get damage. They don't see through it, you don't see through it, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you're even getting healed when you walk into it. This wall you can activate and reactivate at any given point as long as you have your fuel up. The longer it's on, the more fuel it takes from you. And this Toxic Screen, by the way, cannot be moved in the round. So once you place it, you cannot replace it in the same round. You can replace it in the next round, but not in the same. So be really, really thoughtful on how you place that one. And then there is her ultimate, which is really, really strong. It's called Viper Spit, which is basically a massive toxic cloud in where Viper can move around and can see their enemies highlighted. But the enemies have, if they're in there, first of all, they're getting damage, and second, they have a really near sight, and the cloud stays as long as Viper is inside of it. And that was basically it about Viper. Personally, one of my favorite champions, but I'm not sure how much she's gonna be played, but 100% a lot of fun to play her. Then, the fourth character that we have is Sova. I saw a lot of people online comparing Sova to somebody like Hanzo. Yeah, the abilities are kind of similar, but it's really, really fun to play him. Also, I think Sova is one of the 3 champions that's gonna be played a lot when it comes to damage. Sova has Shock Bolt, which is basically an arrow that damages enemies. Then we have the Ul Drone, which is the one that you saw everywhere, which is basically an arrow that can be shot, and you can bounce it either once or you can bounce it twice off a wall. You can decide that yourself, and it reveals the enemies. And then there's the Wrecking Bolt, which basically deploys a sonar emitter that pings, and it tags the enemies with the pings if they are close by, and it also reveals them on the map. The ultimate of Sova is Hunter's Fury, which is basically, if you compare it to other characters again, imagine it like an Ezreal ultimate if you play League of Legends. So it's basically a deadly energy blast that goes through the entire map. So talking about going through walls, going through everything, and he can shoot 3 charges of those. Yeah, so that was it about Sova. Then the next one, which I think is a really, really fun character to play. I have no idea how much it's gonna get played because it's a lot about map control for him. It's Cypher. He's all about surveillance. So you might have seen it also in the videos that are out there already. Cypher can put a trap wire between 2 walls, which is stealth for the enemies, so they can see it, and if they walk into the tripwire, it's gonna reveal them on the map and it's gonna restrain them for a really short time. Then the second ability is Cyber Cage, which is a remote activated trap that can slow enemies, and also you can also detonate it if you want, so it does a little bit of damage. The third one is Spy Cam, which is a remote controlled camera that can also fire tracking darts on your enemies. And if the camera is killed, you can replace it again, or if you go there, pick up the camera and bring it to a second spot. So again, Cypher is one of those characters that you're gonna have to do a lot of things in the setup time. So for example, if you're playing the map with the 3 bomb sites, and you know you're gonna play one of them only with one character, or maybe you wanna let it open because they don't go there often, you can put your camera there, and you're gonna see if your enemies are there. Also, to make sure the camera is not functioning at all times, so it's not like you see on your radar as soon as an enemy is entering the site. You actually have to activate it. So in that moment you activate the camera, the body of the character, you cannot move it. So basically you're switching from being inside of your character to the camera. So in that time, your character is completely vulnerable. So if you want to look through the camera, think about it that your character is vulnerable, and if you get killed in that time, there's nothing you can do about it. That is the spy camera. And then the ultimate of Cypher is neural theft. I think that's how you say it. So basically, if somebody dies in this game, their corpse is gonna stay on the map. And what Cypher can do, if you're close to an enemy corpse, you can extract all the information out of the corpse to basically reveal all the living allies of that corpse, which is obviously really, really strong because you're gonna know where all of your enemies are. That was Cypher. Then Brimstone is the next one. I didn't play it at all. I think if I remember correctly, Pasha played that one a lot. It looked a lot of fun. I can say that much. The abilities of Brimstone is the first is an incendiary, so basically just a Molotov. Then it has a stim beacon that he can call, which is basically an area buff that gives you rapid fire. The only thing that you have to be careful about that, when you place this rapid fire buff, if you would place that where enemies are as well, your enemies will get that speed buff as well. So you need to be careful with that one. Then there is the Sky Smoke, which basically, when you throw the smoke, it's not like in CSGO that you need to know like all of your fixed point smokes and jump throws and stuff like that. It's pretty simple. Once he uses his Sky Smoke, he just opens the map, selects an area where the smoke should go, clicks there, and the smoke is straight gonna land there. So it's pretty simple, and his ultimate is pretty strong. It's an orbital strike, so basically it's an AoE that you can place anywhere on the map. Then we come to our 7th hero, which is called Sage. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Sage is the only healer in the game. We already learned that Phoenix can heal himself if he stands in a fire. He cannot heal his teammates, he can only heal himself. So Sage is the only person that can actually heal their teammates. Sage has, again, like everybody else, for different abilities. The first one is a slowing orb, which is basically an orb. If it touches the floor, it will freeze the whole area. If you try to walk through it, it will slow you down. And for enemies, like if you try to walk through this one, it will also make a sound. So it's super annoying. It slows you down, and it also makes a sound if you walk through it. Imagine just walking over ice, right? Then the healing orb, that is, I think, really self-explaining. So it can heal yourself, or it can also heal your teammates. The next ability would be the barrier orb. I think you saw that one in the trailers as well. It looks like basically one huge ice wall. You can compare it kind of to, let's say, a Mei in Overwatch or something like that. Just imagine the wall being way longer. You can also boost on this one. The wall can be not shot through, but if you fire enough against the wall, it will break at certain parts. And the last ability of Sage is the Resurrection. Now, I heard so much about that on Twitter. Oh my god, it's gonna be so overpowered. Resurrecting your allies. Oh my god, it's gonna be so horrible. Okay, it is her ultimate. This means she needs 6 charges to actually be able to use it. So maybe she will just be able to resurrect 2 allies in a whole half of the game. Okay, depending on how many kills she gets, obviously. So, yeah, she basically resurrects an ally. I also have to say, she needs to be by the corpse of her ally to resurrect it. So you cannot just be on the other end of the map and just like revive the person next to you. This is also not how it works. And from that, we already come to our last champion, which is Omen. I honestly don't really know anything about Omen. I haven't played it. I can just tell you the list of abilities that I have from him. So Omen's first ability is Paranoia, which is basically a shadow that he sends out, and anybody that is being touched by it is nearsighted, so they can't see far anymore, obviously. Then there's the Shadow Walk, which basically with some delay you can teleport in a short distance to yourself. The Dark Cover is a stealth ethereal orb that bursts into an obscuring sphere in its final location. And its ultimate is from the shadows, which basically makes basically from the shadows, which gives him the ability to TP anywhere on the map. Anywhere on the map. That was it to all the champions. And now I just wanted to go over the buy menu with you. So what we're seeing on this screenshot is basically we have on the left side we have all the pistols, which we have a classic one, we have a little kind of baby shotgun, we have something that reminds you of the CZ. The sheriff is something kind of you could compare to a revolver. Then you have your SMGs, you have your shotguns, you have your rifles. I have to say I mostly played with the Vandal, which is basically something that you could compare to an AK. The Phantom you could compare to something like a carbine. The Guardian you could compare to a DMR, and the Bulldog is a burst weapon, kind of like you could say it's a burst P90 if you will. When we look at the sniper rifles, we have the Marshall. The Marshall is basically, if you would compare it, a Marshall is basically, if you would compare it in CS, it would be like a scout. And then we have the Operator, which is the heavy and the expensive sniper, which is basically like an AWP, right? And then we have two more heavy guns. The one is the RS and the other one is the Odin. Also on this screenshot, again, please keep in mind that this is from the alpha, so it might still look a little bit different. Here you can see the abilities that you can buy and how many. So for example, here we have the buy menu of a Phoenix. So you can see that he has one charge of Blaze, where he can only have one. He has two charges of the Curveball, which is the Flash, and he has one charge of the Hot Hands, where he is also full and can only have one. And then his ulti is not charged yet. On the right side we can see the shields. So there was also the discussion, will there be something like Kevlar and helmets like in CSGO, anything like that. So basically how it works, the shields that you buy in this game, it's not like in CSGO where you have like a helmet, a Kevlar vest and then a helmet. Everything that you buy is basically just additional HP. It doesn't give you like more armor or anything, it just gives you more HP. Another thing that is really cool on their buy menu is that on the left side you always have an overview about how much money and which guns your teammates have. There's also a way, instead of just buying the weapon, you could right click and mark it as want. So in case that would happen, next to your teammate there would be a little thing that shows up that says, I don't know, Exkel wants a Vandal, and then you would just have to click on it, and if you have enough money you automatically buy the gun for your teammates. So there's no annoying, hey, can you drop me that? And then you need to like last second buy it and drop your gun, and then somebody yoinks your gun. So all of this things, if you know it in CSGO, is not in this game. You will be able to super easily drop for your teammates if you have the money. You will see who wants something, you will buy the right guns for them, etc, etc. So that is, I think, something that is really, really useful, very, very well thought, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's a very good point that I was talking about earlier already. Did you just hear how he asked for a gun? Let's do this again.
Can I get a gun?
You heard that? You heard that? He asked his teammate for a gun, right? And now let's look closely. That was what I was explaining you earlier about the buy menu, that you can actually drop your teammates immediately. So you can see here on the left now that he is requesting to drop him a Phantom. And basically what he can do, he can just click on a buy it button here, and then his teammate straight gonna have the gun in his hands. No annoying dropping anymore. How awesome is that? Awesome, I know. Let's go on.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you.
Alright, I'm gonna get the Orbit A again. I'll have my ult.
Y'all notice? It's real quiet in here. Quiet, like a library out here.
Oh gosh.
Okay, here we saw the first ability being used. If you didn't notice, this was Jet, the one character that I told you that I think is going to be played a lot. And another thing that you can see here, Jet's jump, which is called updraft, right? she jumped up the box where as a normal character you wouldn't be able to get up to. And as you can see here, one charge of it has been used, so she's just gonna be able to jump one more time the entire match. So just keep that in mind before you're screaming like, oh my god, it's so overpowered!
Should we do it? Should we go? I think Kuzi gassed himself out.
Also, I love that
happens,
you can
you
play
know?
with your knife, so you can keep your annoying CSGO habits. And another thing that I just noticed that I forgot to point out, so you can see how like this blue wall is everywhere, so the people cannot cross. So I think it like ends here, 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 and here. It's basically this preparation time where you can like set up your traps, you can set up your walls where you want to put them. You can jump up on boxes, you can position your way, you can buy your guns. I think all over the place. You don't have to be in the starting area. Like, I think you spawn like here, so you don't have to be here to buy. If I remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can buy all over the place while you're in the preparation time. So again, sorry for stopping. Let's move further. We can see in 5 seconds, the wall is gonna disappear. There we go. Oh yeah, I remembered another thing that I forgot to tell you about. You see what he's doing? Hold F to capture an orb. That was another thing that I forgot to tell you about. On the map, if I remember correctly, each round there are 2 orbs that you can loot basically or pick up, and one picked up orb is gonna give you 1 charge for your ultimate. Keep in mind though, him looting this, exposing him to the enemy. So if an enemy is peeking here while he is capturing an orb, he could die. So as we see here already, they're having great team play, because what is happening here is that one of his teammates is actually setting up the wall to protect him here. See? That is a Viper with her toxic wall.
Will you have to cover my body if I use it up here?
Oh, and here, what we are seeing right here, sorry for stopping all the time again. This is basically from Sova, the character that's a little bit like Hanzo. And he put his, what is the thing called? The old drone? I think that was the old drone that just sends out and reveals the enemies. And since this wall is only a toxic wall, you can walk through it, but it will damage you, right? But he can now technically shoot the enemies through the wall because they're detected.
Oh.
Embarrassing.
Some very, very good team play there already.
Need help?
You can see that he's also trying to spam the wall, which I said earlier that you can
Close.
spam.
Up sewer.
There's wall banging in this game.
No. I'm gonna lean A here. You think they're coming?
Blocking sight.
No.
Pick up B, pick up B. Res.
That's again Jet, I think, with her smoke.
Pick up B.
There we saw the wall from Sage, right?
I can help you get out.
Jet with her ultimate.
I'm out.
One mid. One still on grass. I'm just ulting your front of B.
Big frag,
I'm gonna
dude.
drone outside of A-Lon just to check.
Welcome
Wow,
to
big,
my
big, big,
world.
Let's see. I've got dags. We can retake together.
This, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the ultimate of Viper, which is which again makes them really like short-sighted and does damage on them. You can see it
Let
that
me go
they're
first with my
at their
dart.
HP.
So
There they are.
Grass smoke in the corners.
See one
Oh,
of them?
Close left.
Impact.
Alright, let's do this. One in the smoke cloud.
One enemy left.
So they also put the
Alright,
buff
all
in
together,
there
all together.
from the
He was
brimstone, I think.
Player standing.
Oh, not like
It's 1-on-1, and he's dropping really low in HP.
yeah.
Oh my god.
What? The raid boss.
Oh my, no, not like
Jeez Louise.
Not like this!
Okay.
And the diffuser in hand.